only got 10 minutes. But Parliament में तो कुछ हो रहा नहीं है. होना नहीं है. सब हो रहा है जो भी Parliament के बाहर ही है. Yeah. It's not okay. Only thing is we want to make sure that that in the morning I have to address the issue of the question. In Delhi? Yeah. Okay. After that. आप लोगों का 12 बज गया. अच्छा, I will speak in English and any questions, clarification in Hindi I am ready. So पहले मैं let me first give you a very short background. I am presenting today to you what is called as prima facie evidence. Because if I were to present to you conclusive evidence, then I'll have to give you about 7,000 pages of documentation. So because in financial world they are all interconnected, and so in order to finally prove it takes time. I have to just show suspicion, like in the case of Raja, the CBI, what did it show? That in the case of Kanimori, that money came from Kusegaon to Kalenja TV, and there was no reason for it, and the timing was such that the licenses were given at the same time. So they said prima facie she is guilty unless in trial it is proved that there is some explanation. That's the way criminal trial proceeds. Now in the Prevention of Corruption Act there are 3 sections. One section I have already invoked, and now I have finished my argument with the Supreme Court, and maybe next week we will know, where I said that it was not in the public interest what Raja and Chidambaram decided, namely that the price of spectrum was fixed very low, and then the companies which got it sold it to foreign companies at 8 times, 9 times the price they paid the government of India. So the companies made the profit instead of the government. This is the thing, and Raja in that case, it has already been accepted by the trial court. The question was whether Chidambaram was there. The trial court's mistake was in thinking that I have to prove criminal mind in order to have a prima facie case. That's not correct. As far as the section 3 of part 3 of section 13 is concerned, you only have to show lack of public interest, and it was clear that there was no public interest in giving it cheap, since the parties were allowed to sell it at market price to others. So now, now the Supreme Court has to decide whether I am right or wrong. Now coming to the part 2 of the Prevention Corruption Act section 13, where I am showing that some of the decisions which Mr. Chidambaram is involved in, there is some money changing hands. This is the thing I have taken. I am going to prove to you the prima facie case. First of all, what is this about? This is about the Aircel-Maxis deal. Maxis is a Malaysian company. It is headed by a man called Anant Krishnan, who is originally of Sri Lankan Tamil origin. He has very strong connections with the LTTE, and many of the LTT money gets laundered by him. And he lives in Malaysia. And Aircel is headed by a Tamil from India called Shiv Shankaran. And in around 2005, Mr. Shiv Shankaran was in a state of bankruptcy. He was unable to pay installments and so many other things, couldn't pay back loans. So some buyer came, and that was Maxis in disguise, who said, I would like to buy 74% of the shares. At that time, the permission to buy 74% of shares required the Foreign Investment Promotion Board, of which the chairman was Mr. Chidambaram. Now, what happens is that, what I will show is that this permission, which ought to have been given in end of 2005 or beginning of 2006, Chidambaram delayed because he wanted a cut. This is my allegation. And so around March of 2006, one of Chidambaram Sons companies was enabled to buy shares in the company owned by Shiv Shankar, which was a holding company controlling all the telecom companies. So the telecom company of Shiv Shankar was Aircel and Aircel Limited. These two companies, the body holding it was called Aircel Televentures. So Mr. Chidambaram's son was allowed to first give a location of the registrar of companies to give clearance, and then it was converted into shares. And then once that happened, then because the holding company was to get the money from Maxis, and that was 4,000 crore rupees, out of that a share went to Mr. Karti Chidambram, the son of Chidambaram. This is what I will show to you in a minute. And that's how the deal was effected. So there are other aspects about whether he was forced to sell, and all those are secondary aspects that the Supreme Court is considering it. Right now I am going to show this. So let's start with reading annexures. Let us take annexure number 1, which is beginning on page 6. Now, annexure 1, which you can go to page 10, that is where I am going to refer to. This is a thing that you have to file with the Companies Act about the company. On page 8, the name of the company is given, Osbridge Holdings and Investment Private Limited. And if you turn to page 10, at the bottom, it is written Karti Chidambaram, and how much shares does he own? 94.74%. So 94.74% of this Osbridge Holdings and Investment Private Limited is owned by Mr. Chidambaram's son Karti, and so it is his company. And the remaining is a man called Mohan Rajesh, whose name is also there, and he lives on the same street, and he is like a glorified chaprasi of Karti. So he has 5%, so he can sign and things like that. Then you come to annexure 2, and that is dealing with the address and all that of Mr. Rajesh, which you can see is the same address, Pycroft Garden Road in Chennai. Now you come to annexure 3, which is on page 12, and there you see Osbridge. Now I told you Osbridge is the company owned by Karti Chidambaram to the extent of 94.75% of the shares, and they are already completely in his, and his friend or his glorified chaprasi as the remaining. And there you see in schedule below, one is a shares in Surya Samudra Resorts Private Limited, and here the amount 49,000 that is written there, this is 4,900 shares at 10 rupees each. I have calculated constitutes 50% of the shares of this company by asking the registrar of companies. And the more important thing is the next one, which is Advantage Strategic Consulting Private Limited, where he has 5 lakh shares, and that is compounded in this complicated way. This financial